Mike Davis now, the great Mike Davis, Article 3 Project. Mike, President Trump is inside federal courtrooms, federal trials. These are not put on television. There are no microphones, no cameras allowed. Can you walk us through a little bit? I mean, obviously you're not there either, but can you walk us through a little bit of what is happening to President Trump right now? The last image we received, him stepping out of the motorcade, then going into this garage. What's going on inside the courthouse in general?
Yeah, so we have President Biden ordering this political raid on Trump to get back his presidential records he's allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. They appointed this special counsel, Jack Smith, this partisan special counsel, Jack Smith, to do this grand jury investigation in Washington, D.C. with Beryl Howell, this Democrat-appointed judge who blew through President Trump's constitutional rights, attorney-client privilege. They have brought their charges, their indictment, with this bogus legal theory that a former president retaining his presidential records is somehow espionage, even though the Espionage Act does not apply. And even if the Espionage Act does apply, there's no allegation whatsoever of harm to the United States. So they're going to bring him in today. He's a former president. He has Secret Service protection by statutes. So I don't think they're going to be able to handcuff him or put him into a holding cell. He'll go in, I presume, to the magistrate judge. I think it's going to be Bruce Reinhart, this biased magistrate judge who had recused from President Trump's civil lawsuit against Hillary Clinton because of his 2017 Facebook post. Somehow that judicial bias went away 6 weeks later when Garland and his Justice Department went to this biased magistrate judge to get the unprecedented home raid on Trump to get back presidential records Trump was allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. They have their initial hearing, their arraignment today, where they tell President Trump what the charges are against him. He'll plead not guilty, and I don't think they're seeking pretrial detention. That would be absolutely insane. And then I think he's going to go on his way. They'll go through the discovery phase. In most criminal cases, there are plea bargainings and plea agreements. I don't think that's going to happen here. There is preliminary hearings, pretrial motions. They'll file a motion to dismiss this indictment because it's flawed as a legal matter. The Presidential Records Act, not the Espionage Act, controls. There's a trial. There are post-trial motions, appeals, and it could go all the way to the Supreme Court. You could have a president of the United States who was unjustly convicted, who was elected and put back into the White House, where he can dismiss the charges against him with prejudice or pardon himself. That's what needs to happen here. We need to put President Trump back in the White House. This is a bogus political hit to take out a political rival.
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. And as I said before, if this were happening in any other country, we would call it exactly what it is. But Mike, so two things that I've been trying to track, of course, just like in New York, it looks like we're not getting a mugshot. It looks like they're not doing the mugshot that would have sold 10 million T-shirts, maybe 100 million T-shirts. Looks like that is not going to happen. There is also a question, though, because I've seen this in multiple other federal cases, Flynn, Papadopoulos, etc., Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, where they actually will restrict international travel by taking the passport of the defendant. Do you think that's something that could be done here? Could they actually take his passport?
I would imagine they could try. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I mean, he has federal law enforcement, Secret Service who follow him everywhere he goes. It's not like he's going to go run and hide in Thailand or something. I mean, it's just insane. But I would say this. Think about what the Democrats are trying to do here, Jack. We have allegations that Trump kept his presidential records, which they claim are national defense information, or they're not even claiming it's classified. It's national defense information. They're claiming that Trump kept these records, which he's allowed to do under the Presidential Records Act. They're claiming that President Trump was a jerk and got into a fight with the librarians and the other bureaucrats and didn't want to turn over his presidential records. And so they want to put him in prison for the rest of his life over this. That is insane what they're trying to do. There is, again, zero allegation, even if the Espionage Act somehow applies, even if we're going to ignore the controlling Presidential Records Act, the idea you're going to put a former president and a top political rival in prison for the rest of his life over a records dispute with librarians at the archives and deep state snakes at the Justice Department is not going to fly with the American people.